Hey girlies, it's officially that time again where I am doing a Q&A answering all of your dilemmas, all of your burning questions on how to be self-obsessed, how to level up into the best version of yourself. If you're new here and you didn't know, every single season on episode 5, we always do a dilemma Q&A, which is usually split into different topics, whether it be relationships, self, mindset, habits, whatever were the most common and popular questions asked. And I organize them all and then give you detailed answers and practical steps in response to them so that you can find your solution in just a 30-minute podcast episode and live your best life right after. If you didn't get a chance to ask a question this season, don't worry because I'll be doing the same dilemma Q&A for season 5. Be sure to follow me on Instagram at tamkaur because that is where I always get you guys to send in your questions. And on that subject, be sure to check out the links below in the description, whether you're on audio or on YouTube right now, where you can check out my Instagram, both of my other YouTube channels, where I also share a bunch of self-development advice, along with my book, Buy Yourself the Damn Flowers, which is available now worldwide on Amazon. It's the ultimate guide to mastering self-love. I like to think of it as basically the self-obsessed Bible. It covers everything from confidence to healing to self-love languages to practical steps to level up. It gives you homeworks and summaries, literally just every single thing you need. But with that being said, let's get into it and answer your questions. So, the first question is, how do you end a friendship or relationship without hurting the other person? I find this question so interesting because it's something that I've contemplated so many times, and I think it's really important to answer it because self-obsessed doesn't mean not caring about other people. The self-obsessed thing to do is ending the friendship, right? You're prioritizing your own needs, you're taking care of yourself, you're honoring that you don't really want to be in that space anymore, and that is the self-obsessed way of living, way of life, and mindset. But self-obsessed also means we are not trying to hurt other people. We are still trying to be the best version of ourselves. That doesn't mean that we have to do it in a rude or cutthroat or cold-hearted way. Ending a relationship without hurting the other person just means to make the entire focus about you, even if it necessarily is not. So, I assume that you are probably ending a friendship or a relationship because they've hurt you in some way, or they're toxic, or they are not serving you. I fully believe that it's important to stand up for yourself and let somebody know how they did you wrong. But there is a specific way of going about that. So let's say that the reason you want to cut them off is because they're never there for you and they're not supporting you and your wins. Now, instead of saying, you're such a horrible person and I can't believe you did this and how dare you and I've done so much for you. No, we're not going to go down that rabbit hole. Instead, we're going to make it about us and we're going to say, I really hope you can understand that I can't be in a situation like that. It doesn't serve me. It doesn't align to me. It gives me anxiety or it hurts me. And I need to take a step back for my own mental health or to be able to live my life to the fullest. I cannot surround myself with people like that. And I really hope you understand. Our friendship has meant so much to me. I hold no hatred for you, but I just have to do this because it's best for me and I have to take a step back and can't be in this situation anymore. I really hope you can understand and I wish you the best in the meantime. That's it. You are going to leave so gracefully and so politely. And although they did you wrong, you are not making it into this huge fight, which is then just, bringing out negative energy within yourself. And it's really just destroying a bond, which actually meant something to you at one point. And so I think that's completely unnecessary. That way you get to distance yourself and then it's not prolonged with like he said that and she said that and then rumors are being spread and everything. The next question is, how do you break free from the image that other people have created of you in their head? My answer to this is by realizing it is not your responsibility to meet other people's expectations of who you should be. Even if you tried, you would never be able to live up to the perception that they have of you, so you might as well quit before you even try. It is the most liberating and freeing thing to let people be wrong about you. There are going to be so many times in your life where you shock the people around you, whether that be your family members or friends in, what you do for work or the way that you speak or present yourself or how you want to live your life. The real people who actually love you for you, they are always going to be shocked, okay? And they are always going to find things that are unexpected because we are all human and we all perceive each other in our own unique ways, even though they're not entirely valid or accurate. But the real ones are the ones who are going to stay and stick with you and try to catch up to that now new image of you as you are growing outside of the box that they kept you in their head. But if you start letting yourself disappoint other people, if you start letting people be wrong about you and just act in the way you want rather than trying to live up to their expectations, then when you do something that is out of the ordinary or that is unexpected, and then there's the group of people who's like, hold up, but you shouldn't do this. Or, well, I don't really want to hang around with you if you're going to dress like that or be like that or act like that or go there or hang out with those people. Then you know you are simply not my person. If you are trying to live up to the image that other people have of you in their heads, you are doing yourself a disservice by not actually knowing who is meant for you and who is really there for you. Somebody else asked, what are the signs that it's time to let go? And they didn't give any specifics. So this could mean, in career, with people, in relationships, in a certain mindset or habit or lifestyle. And for this question, I want to say that I've actually already done a dedicated full entire podcast episode. It's on the YouTube as well as Spotify and Apple Music for Self-Obsessed. It's called How to Know When It's Time to Change or Shift into Another Season of Your Life. And that will definitely answer your question in a more detailed manner. But for now, I'll give you a quick summary. I think it's time to let go when you think of your future or you're envisioning where you want to be and that thing or that person isn't there when you're envisioning it. When you think about your ideal future, you're not excited about them being there or you simply can't see them at all. I think when it's time to let go when it doesn't align to you or your values or serving your needs as you are adapting and growing as a person anymore. It doesn't have to mean that they're horrible and toxic and they have to do you wrong for you to let them go. Everybody is supposed to evolve and grow. And that means that our mindsets and our values and our priorities shift and change. And so it's perfectly normal to let go of things that you just absolutely loved at one point in your life. That's simply you honoring your own growth to be able to grow into the person that you were always meant to be. I also think it's time to let go when you leave that thing, that environment, that person, it doesn't leave you feeling filled up and fulfilled and inspired or just joyful and happy and grateful. I think life is too short to spend your time in areas that don't fill you up, that don't leave you feeling like, oh, I'm so glad I spent my time there. I think you definitely know that it's time to let go when you feel the need to over-explain yourself or justify yourself when you're talking about that situation or event or person to somebody else. Because deep down, this doesn't make sense for me. And other people can see this isn't making me happy. And yet for some reason, you're trying to over-explain yourself. Because deep down, when something is actually meant for you, you feel no need to explain anything to anybody. You just know it's for you. And majority of the time, the people that are closest to you can see that as well. When I was in horrible relationships or in friendships that didn't serve me, I found myself trying to justify it not only to other people, but also to myself. Oh, but what about this? But then this and this and this. When something is genuinely meant for you, you won't find yourself questioning it or needing to explain to yourself why you have to stay there because you're just going to be happy and living it out. And most importantly, I think when it's time to let go when you feel relief at the idea of letting go. You fantasize about a life where you don't need to deal with that relationship or with that job or with that hobby or with that lifestyle. You wonder how amazing things will be. And I think you owe it to yourself to live that out and find out just how amazing it can get. The next dilemma I'm going to dive into is all about confidence. There were so many questions about this, but my favorite one that somebody asked was, how do you be confident in a room full of people? And I heavily relate to this because I've been there. Like, I could be confident in my own isolation, in my own solitude, but if I was at an event where I didn't know anybody or I was around my peers, I just got so scared. I found out that the reason that I was feeling that way was because I was putting everybody else on a pedestal. And that literally makes no sense because we're all the same. We're all people. We're all craving the same thing, which is human connection, which is to be understood, which is to be seen, which is to be loved and liked and approved of. So why is that group over there so much better than me when we're literally the same? We're the same beings, with the same thoughts and the same values and principles. Why would I put myself down into thinking that I'm not good enough to be in this room or I'm not good enough to speak to that group of people when we are all exactly the same? The only reason we get so shy and we lack confidence in these social situations, in this room full of people, is because we start assuming people know better than us. People have progressed further than us. And in so many situations, yes, that might be true. People might have knowledge that you lack. People might be further along in their growth and confidence journey. But there are also so many things that they feel insecure about. Or there are so many weak areas of their life which you may have already conquered. So once you realize we're literally all the same and it's quite impossible for anybody to intimidate you, Then you need to understand that we need to start placing our view and our actions externally in an environment like this. And we need to start focusing on how we can provide value to other people. Because I used to lack so much confidence in social situations because I was stuck in the corner of the room thinking, what are people thinking about me? Am I wearing the right thing? How am I going to be confident? How am I going to speak? I don't have any confidence starters. Instead, if I just shifted my mindset to, how can I make that person's day? How can I offer some insightful, deep conversation that somebody remembers? How can I find out more about you so that I walk away from this event having learned so much, or having made new connections, or having had meeting different types of people, which then influences my own views of people, or where I want to go, or what kind of people I want to meet. There is so much to gain from this for my own personal growth. Why would I waste my time thinking if I look good enough to be here, or if I am good enough to be here, or if I'm going to speak in the correct way, when instead I could try and make that person's day better? I can learn so much. And when you think like that, you walk into a room and you're excited to be there. And when you're excited, all of that worry and that stress about who am I and how am I perceived just melts away. Oh, and another thing I want to say about this is when you get those butterflies in your stomach, or when you're anxious about going to a new place and you're feeling a little bit nervous, those are all green flags, okay? I've literally lost count of the amount of networking events I have turned up to alone at this point, because I've gone to that many and I've been in so many social settings, and guess what? I still get nervous. I will still be on the Uber on the way there and feeling those butterflies in my stomach. And I used to equate that to, oh my God, like, it's kind of imposter syndrome and I'm an introvert and I can't do this, or why am I so scared? And like I'm clearly not prepared for this, or I'm not going to be able to say anything. No. Having those nerves is a completely normal reaction to you going into an environment that you've never been in before. If anything, kudos to you for stepping outside of your comfort zone. Your brain, your nervous system is just normally going to react like this to you going into a situation where it does not know how to predict the outcome. That's amazing. You're finally doing things that separate yourself from what you've always experienced, which means you're about to experience so much growth. The next question is such a beautiful one. And it's, how can you tell if you're actually healing from things? I think this is so important because healing is such a long, ongoing journey that sometimes we can lose sight of, are we actually making progress? Because maybe we're not at the end of the destination yet, and maybe we haven't achieved our goal of overcoming a certain mindset yet. So here are some reassuring signs that you are healing and you are making progress on your journey. One is you find yourself responding or thinking or acting in certain situations in a different way to how you have in the past. For example, if someone is triggering you or disrespecting you, you're not having a huge emotional outburst, you're not trying to get defensive, you're not getting angry, you're not shouting, you're not crying, because now you've learned how to regulate your emotions, how to detach from other people's actions. While you may not have achieved the full goal of healing whatever you're trying to heal, you're growing in how you use and control your emotions and in how you respond to other people. And that is a huge achievement. Another sign is that you find yourself living and acting more in the present. Instead of sitting around focusing on the what ifs, dwelling on the past, dwelling on all of the bad things that have happened to you. And instead you find your focus majority of the time is more on where you could be, what amazing life you could create for yourself, and just fantasizing about all of the ways in which life could be so amazing. Not only that, but all of the things you have to be grateful for in this current moment. That is huge. Look at you taking control and responsibility of your happiness and your mental health and having a positive mindset that benefits you every day. Another sign, which is not talked about enough, is that you're starting to gain a little bit more confidence and comfort in being vulnerable with others. A really dangerous healing or confidence, self-development piece of advice is to close yourself off, to never tell anybody anything, right? To suppress it, to push it down. If it's a negative emotion, try and get rid of it, try to be cold-hearted. I hate it. It's so dangerous. It's so bad for you. True healing is when you might still be on the journey. You might still be trying to heal that emotional wound, but you are confident enough and self-assured enough to know it's okay to talk about it, even though it's not fixed yet, even though it's not done yet, because you've created this safe space and safe environment and mindset within yourself where you're like, my emotions are okay. No matter whether they're negative or positive, they're completely normal. And I deserve to honor them and speak about them and pay attention to them. And, lean on other people. That's what human connection is about. That's how you're going to get advice. That's how you're going to get emotional support. That's how you're going to feel seen and heard and supported. And the last sign I'm going to say is that you have developed some peace with your past. It's no longer about why did this happen to me, or this is so unfair, or my life is so hard, but you either accept it for what it is and you don't go back and visit it in your mind very often, or what I've personally done is I've found so much gratitude in the adversity that's happened to me, and I know that I wouldn't be here today without it, and I can see how it benefited me and how it helped me grow and how it made me wiser. And I just think every kind of pain just helps you get onto the next level of your life, whether it be a new level of thinking or living or way of being. And when you start thinking in that way, you're healing. You're not stuck in this victim mentality of bad things shouldn't happen to me. The next question is, how do you become your most authentic self? I love this question. And you know what? This reminds me, I should actually make an entire YouTube video on this. If I haven't, and it's been a while since this podcast came out, please comment down below and remind me to, because I'm so passionate about this. I know that this is such a common struggle. I vividly remember, I think I was like 20 or 21 years old, and I was just Googling, how do you be authentic? And if you take a step back and you think about it, I can't believe so many of us struggle with this, because at the end of the day, being authentic just means just be yourself. So why do we struggle with this? Why do we ask people all the time? It's because so many of us have been conditioned in a way, or have suppressed ourselves in a way, that we lose sight of who we actually are. We don't know who we are. So a lot of the time we can't even see what parts of us are authentic and what is not. And I really had to go on a journey to find that out, and it did take a while, and I've learned so much from it. So I definitely will do a dedicated piece of content to that. But for now, I would say my favorite piece of advice with this is go with your first instinct. That is where all of the authenticity lies. So let's say when you're picking what you're going to wear, right? I opened my closet today, I saw this dress, literally, and I was like, that is going to make me feel great. I'm going to put that on. That is calling out to me today. That was me making the most authentic decision for myself today, because it called out to me. The inauthenticity starts when I open my closet, the dress calls out to me, I pick it out, I hold it up, and I think, but what are other people going to think? Is it appropriate for where I'm going? Is it flattering enough? Do I have the right body type for this dress? Are people going to judge me? Am I going to be too overdressed? Should I be more casual? What are the trends right now? And what is everybody looking like? And how is everybody dressing? No, I hate it. I hate it. And that's why authenticity is so hard, because social media tells you and gives you all of these labels and all of these things and ways of being. You know, how do I be a cool, classy woman? How do I be my dark feminine energy? And then every single time we are about to make a decision which benefits us, which reflects who we are and a piece of our core identity that reflects our style and our mindset and our values and our likes and dislikes, we throw it all away just to fit into what society has deemed cool. And I'm sick of it. But anyways, back to the advice. Like I was saying before, you know, it's not just even in clothes. It's like when you're in social settings, it's going with your first instinct. Like if you are in a conversation and it's someone you just met and you suddenly have the urge to ask them a deep question, going off of something you just learned about them. But then you stop yourself because you're like, oh, but I've just met this person. So, you know, I should do small talk because that's more acceptable. Or what if they don't like the question? Who gives an F? What if they love the question? What if they've never met anybody before that could ask such deep and insightful questions, and then it leads to you both being fast friends? On the other hand, they might hate the question. It might make them feel so uncomfortable and they're not going to like you. But guess what? That dislike that they might have of you was a result of you being authentically yourself, which then just means now you know that person was never going to be for you because they couldn't deal with your authentic light and essence. And so they should not be anywhere near you. Another way to really focus on building your authenticity is to embrace being cringe. And it links into exposure therapy. Just getting out this like thought or this need to gain approval from other people, because truly that's the thing that stifles our authenticity. That's where we start questioning ourselves and second guessing ourselves. The more that you are cringe, the more that you disappoint people, the more that you let people down and what their expectations and perceptions are of you, the quicker that you're going to get over it. And then the easier it's going to be in being consistent in your authentic self and living in a way that's most authentic to you and your journey every single day, because you got over the fear of what's going to happen if people reject me and don't like me, because you exposed yourself to it so often and so fast over and over and over again that now you are completely numb to it. It's not even a thing that you need to consider anymore. But going back to my point about, you know, it is very hard to be authentic when you just simply don't know who you are and you've kind of lost your sense of self. I do have a few tips around this, and it's all about self-discovery. On my personal journey to finding my authenticity, I found that looking through what's resonated with you in your life so far holds major clues on who you are at your core. Because everything that you love, everything that you find beauty in, you don't find beauty in it, you don't love it because that thing is objectively good. That's impossible, because every single thing or person on the planet has haters. Nothing is 100% liked by anyone. Everything you like and everything you find beauty in, it's because it calls out to a certain part of you. It is simply a reflection of all of the beauty and the light that you hold within yourself. It's reflecting a part of you back to you. So if you look at the hobbies that you had as a teen and why you had them, if you look at who you think are the most iconic characters or TV shows or movies of all time, and then really think about why. So I found that I always loved TV shows about really independent women living in really big cities that overdressed, and it always had something to do with fashion for me. And that's when I really found the confidence to express myself and dress myself in the way that I wanted to, because I saw that it was such a huge part of my self-concept and who I am and what I enjoy, rather than just following the crowd of what I could see in my actual reality of, well, everybody is super casual and nobody really cares, and it's cool to just, not put effort into your outfit and not try too hard. But if I look at the pattern of what I consume, or even what I save to my Pinterest board, all of this reflects maximalism and overdressing and trying too hard. That is a part of me. So yeah, there are literally clues in everything you like, everything you save, your wallpaper, who you follow on social media, the posters in your room, your interior decor tastes, and all of the people that you look up to. So if you've lost that sense of self, study yourself. The next question is a great one because it's one I actually haven't seen before. I love when you guys ask super unique questions. And this one is, how do you develop a positive mindset when things don't go your way? My answer to this is all to reframe your mindset and your perception of something not going your way to the point where it's literally something that benefits you. It's not even about having a positive mindset about, that didn't work out, but I guess it's okay. No, something not working out is so good for you that you actually can't help but be grateful for it, as grateful as when something does go your way. And I'll explain why. While yes, you are going to be grateful when things go your way, remember that things going your way 100% of the time isn't good for you. You are never going to adapt or grow or evolve or learn skills or learn about yourself or learn how to deal with difficult situations or difficult people if you never went through difficult things. If things went your way, how you expected them to 100% of the time, how would you ever grow as a person? Obstacles have to be thrown in the works of your journey. Unexpected things have to happen because that's when you start to discover all of these parts of yourself that you didn't even know were there before. It's when you unlock all of these skills or all of this knowledge, or you develop new ways of thinking or new ways of reacting or seeing things because of the things that you never thought were going to happen for you. And I already know that every single person already has proof of this in your life. Think about every single time something happened to you that you thought was just going to break you. I'm talking like 5-10 years ago, when you went through a breakup, or when your first friend disappointed you, or when you failed a test, or when you lost a job. Like every time you got an obstacle that you just thought you couldn't face, look at you now. I bet you don't even think about that thing that happened 5-10 years ago. And the same thing just keeps repeating over and over again. And if you really look closely and if you really dive deeply into it, not only was it, okay, yeah, a bad thing happened and, it didn't like rock and ruin my world, but also that not going to plan played a very, very crucial and inevitable step to you getting to where you are today. You had to lose that job to get the one you had now. You had to break up with that person to find the person you have now, or to find the self-love that you have now and the dedication for self-development that you have now, because now you're not dependent on that person that was holding you down, your ex. But also with this question, I would say it's really important to detach from the hyper-awareness that we often have around things not working, because at the end of the day, your thoughts create your reality. And if all you can ever see, and if all you are ever placing your thoughts and attention and focus on is things not working, things not going my way, why am I so unlucky, and why can I just not get where I want to be no matter how hard I work, that's all you're ever gonna get, because it's all you can see in your life. So instead, what I like to do is focus on what works. And this is so funny because this morning when I was showering, first thing I was doing in the day, for some reason I was just having some very negative thoughts, and that's fine. It happens to everybody. But I was feeling just down about a few things that weren't working in my own life. And I thought, okay, but think about all of the things that are working, girl. And it's not toxic positivity, okay? Because I'm still aware that, okay, that thing's not quite there yet, but it's going to work itself out. If it's something I have literally no control over, then I owe it to myself to then shift my thought patterns and my focus to something that does benefit me so that I can be in the most positive and uplifting energy for the rest of the day. So instead, like focusing on what you have can look like the fact that you even get to have a job. The fact that you're responding in a better way in comparison to how you would have dealt with the situation a year ago. The fact that you've made progress in your studies. The fact that you are surrounding yourself with better people now. The fact that you have put in the work on yourself during a journey, even though you might not necessarily have achieved your goals on it. Maybe the fact that it's not working out for you, is it in actuality working out for you? You think, I really wanted that thing, I can't believe I don't have it. But maybe there's a bigger divine purpose. Maybe it's the universe knowing you aren't even supposed to go on that path. You think you want to go on that path right now, but I'm going to give you an even bigger blessing that you don't even have the belief or like the thought process to think that you could have had that. But no, I'm going to steer you away from that because that's you just playing too small. Okay. So much more is coming for you, so much more abundance. And I think reframing in that way turns it into a positive. The next question is, how do you break bad habits that hold you back? Super important. We're coming to the end of the year. Everybody's in their winter arc. We're setting those goals for the new year. We're trying to level up into the best versions of ourselves. And the key to breaking a bad habit is actually so easy. It's literally just all about replacement. So an example is, let's say your bad habit that you want to break is, I keep scrolling on my phone and procrastinating and not doing all of the work that I need to do, right? And I scroll on my phone and I don't get enough sleep at night because I'm doing it before I go to bed, or I'm doing it in the morning and then I don't have time to do my work. The way to combat this isn't, I'm just going to try not to go on my phone, because there's so much temptation there and there's already a habit there that you can't really quit. What you need to do is think about, what is the bad habit giving me? What am I gaining from this that has formed it into such an addictive habit that I can't even break out of it? So in the example of scrolling on your phone and procrastinating, I know that what I gain from this and what makes it so attractive and makes me want to do it over and over again is the kind of control it gives me over my reality. I feel like I get more freedom when I'm just scrolling because I'm like, okay, now I have control over my time. And if you know that's what you need, right? It gives you that break in the morning before you know you need to get up and then deal with all of your work tasks for the rest of the day. Now we're going to replace it with a healthier alternative that still gives you that satisfaction you crave while kicking out the bad habit. So instead, a great way to do this, and I actually implemented this myself many years ago, is to have a really slow morning routine that prioritizes happiness. So the second you wake up, if you don't like going to the gym, don't do it in the morning. Do not center your morning around doing things that give you dread or that you don't enjoy, because you're never going to get out of bed and you're going to keep procrastinating. Instead, focus it on things that get you so excited that you want to leap out of bed. It could be FaceTiming your friend first thing in the morning. It could be going out to get your favorite coffee or matcha. It could be making yourself your favorite, most indulgent breakfast in the morning and then watching your favorite TV show, just like an episode for an hour. It could be reading a book. It could be crocheting if that's your hobby. It's really about taking that first hour and having it all to you. That way you're still gaining everything that you wanted to get from scrolling, but you're doing it in a way that benefits you and also kickstarts you, because now you're up for the day, you're ready, you've already started. It's a little bit easier now to shift into a work pattern rather than still being under the covers, scrolling, and then never wanting to get out and not quite knowing how to shift into your workday. Another example of this is when I decided to quit dating and, try and get away from my bad habit of male validation. I knew the reason I keep staying in this is the romance and the attention and the flowers and the dates. And that's truly when I just had this epiphany where I was like, why didn't I just date myself? So that's what I did. I started buying myself flowers. I started taking myself on dates, and it was liberating. It's like I was getting everything I wanted to get, but then also in a new way. And it was super healthy for me and it was helping me grow. And then boom, I literally kicked out my bad habit and I didn't feel the need to be this serial dater who is in back-to-back relationships all the time. And the final question for this episode is, how do you break the shame cycle of repeating the same old bad habits? Well, what if I told you that the shame you're feeling is literally what's feeding into the cycle? If you keep indulging in bad habits and then you decide to feel shame after, and I say decide because we get to choose our thoughts and our emotions and how we feel, you are damaging your self-esteem. You're creating more disbelief in yourself. And what that does is it prevents the confidence and the strength that you need to be able to actually break out of the bad habit in the first place. Because now you felt so much shame, which is like the lowest vibration of frequency that you can operate at, and is so bad for your confidence and self-esteem to the point where now you don't even believe you can break out of the bad habit. And then that's what keeps the cycle going and going. So I think the key to breaking out of this shame cycle of repeating bad habits is to simply just be gentler with yourself while being on the journey, giving yourself rewards and checkpoints while you're still in the middle of the journey, right? You don't need to have had kicked the bad habit out completely, but even just taking one step closer towards kind of doing the bad habit less is something to be celebrated, something to be proud of yourself for. That's what motivates you. That's what keeps you consistent and excited in achieving this goal of breaking out of a certain bad habit. Because at the end of the day, there's no need for shame. We're all humans. We're all just learning as we go along. What need is there to feel shameful when this is your first time living life? This is your first time trying to achieve this goal. We need to be gentler and kinder to ourselves and realize like we're trying as hard as we can. And if we fall down a few times and we fail, that's completely fine and normal. But try to look at those fall downs and those failures as ways to identify, why am I falling down? And why is this not going right? And let me use this to my advantage to figure out how can I use, these failures to figure out in which way can I now be more consistent. On top of that, I think a lot of shame is caused by comparing ourselves to other people who may be on similar journeys to us, but we're comparing our day 1 to their day 100. They've already done so much of the journey and we're expecting ourselves to show up in the same way that they do, but they started ages ago and they actually already went through the shame and the failures and the cycles that we're going through now because we're still at the beginning. And it's really unfair on yourself and it's so harsh to expect yourself to be like the pros or the experts that yes, we look up to and we're inspired by, but it's important to be patient with yourself because also you can't expect yourself to operate and live in the exact same way that other people who have different mindsets and different habits and different lifestyles. And that brings us to the end of season 4, episode 5, the dilemma Q&A episode for season 4 of Self Obsessed. That means that we are now officially halfway through season 4. Can you believe it? Make sure you stay tuned and subscribe if you're watching on YouTube or follow the podcast and share if you are watching on any audio platforms to stay tuned for the last 5 episodes that are coming for season 4. We still have some amazing guests coming up, let me tell you, and I can't wait for you to watch and or listen to these episodes. Be sure to check out all of the links below where you can catch up with me, my personal life. I actually vlog and document a lot of my life, what I'm doing on my Snapchat, so you can watch that every single day. If you want more self-development in the meantime, you can go check out my main YouTube channel, tamkaur, where I talk about a whole other bunch of topics. If you ever want to see me talking about dating and relationships, I don't really do that on the Self Obsessed podcast, but you can catch a lot of it on my YouTube. That's all for now. I will see you girls next Wednesday for a brand new episode of Self Obsessed. And in the meantime, stay self-obsessed. Mwah.